Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 125 of the MTB podcast, presented and hosted by Worldwide Cyclery. I am Jared.
I'm Liam.
I'm Jeff.
I skipped you.
What?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Is it normally the other way around?
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention.
I know.
In this episode, we will discuss why centerlock rotors require a PhD in engineering to get the right lockring. That's a little of a exaggeration, but
Is it though?
Well,
Because-
we'll discuss later, and we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see who. Yeah. I mean, I'm currently not riding a new bike that I've been wanting to ride because of a centerlock rotor lockring. Liam's no longer top secret trip to Germany and what he did there. The bikes and rides we've been enjoying lately, plus listener questions ranging from essential tools to travel with, latte or espresso, and should you go with carbon or alloy for your next bike, which we've talked about carbon or alloy, and a lot of people have, but you know what? It almost changes every year.
Yeah.
Alloy bikes get better, carbon bikes change.
It's true.
You need to warm up the
I
mouth.
need to warm up the mouth.
Yeah.
I was
distracted.
distracted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, get in the game.
This couple sips of this beverage too quickly.
He's wasted 10 minutes.
Slurring my words already.
He's wasted.
All right, let me gain my composure. You read the first segment.
All right, the first segment, Zach's words of wisdom. Always bet 100 on black.
It's unbelievable.
Which
He's
is,
never done that.
Anytime you go into,
does it
I
every
think
time.
He has, yeah. Every time you go into a
Seriously?
casino,
Every time.
go to the roulette table, $100 on black, guarantee you win.
it's not guaranteed.
It's
But,
not, no, it's
Guarantee
not. It's
you
not,
but,
it's not
but
guaranteed.
he says 75% of the time you'll win. So you go in, you put 100 on black, and he's like, I've won more than I've lost. So
Yeah.
you just do that, and then you just walk away. And then he probably goes and spends his $200 on penny slots for the rest of the night.
For the record, I took this
300 on
advice.
booze.
Last time I was in Vegas, I took the advice and I won. And I walked away. $100 richer.
We're gonna need to put one of those financial disclaimers, like this does not constitute investment advice.
Yeah, that's right. Followed by Daniel's fun fact. Australia is wider than the moon. Pretty cool.
Sounds like there's probably a lot of things wider than the moon in that case. Then
Well,
I was going to say the best your mom joke.
oh, dang.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of wild.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, you don't really think of Australia as being that big, right? I mean, but it's huge. I don't know. I don't know. I've never been to Australia.
I haven't been there, but I also just imagine it being massive. Like,
yeah.
big.
like I've heard another fun fact that like Sydney to Perth is like further than like all kinds of distances in the world.
Yeah. Actually, fun fact. Fun fact. I'm pretty sure an Australian listener emailed in after I talked about the San Antonio fact. He's like, I think Texas is big.
Yeah, exactly.
He started rattling
till-
off these
yeah.
Australia things.
Yeah,
Let me tell you about
Yeah.
Australia, mate.
Man, we got to go there.
we should.
do. Yeah, we do.
Really like
Well,
to
we
go.
really do.
I'd love to obviously hit mainland Aussie, but I really want to hit a New Zealand and a Tassie trip.
Yeah.
That's like top of my next
Go see
riding
Phil.
trips.
Phil wanted to put on a Tassie trip,
Ooh.
but I don't know if it's going to work out in 2024, but maybe 2025.
Wow.
He is going to do basically the same Dolomites Italy trip that we did, but a little refined version.
Oh, yeah.
So
We're
if
the
any of
guinea
you
pigs.
listeners are interested, we're not going to be there this time around, but it's going to be an awesome trip.
Wow.
Probably better than the one we did because it'll be exactly what we did, but just a
Refined.
more refined version of it.
Yeah.
Not that ours wasn't refined, but there was a couple things that I think they learned in terms of takeaways of which rides to do what day and that sort of thing.
I mean, you
always
could do
learn.
that trip 5 times and you'll learn something on the 4th trip
Yeah.
to make the 5th trip
Absolutely.
better, right? Like that's just how those trips go. So
Well said.
Yeah.
Speaking of riding bikes, how about the bikes and rides we've been enjoying lately?
Yeah. Well, I'll go last because mine leads into the first topic regarding centerlock rotor woes. So why don't you go?
I'll go first.
You haven't ridden in a while because
Well-
you were sick under the weather, and now you
Yeah.
came back swinging.
Jared was down bad.
I was down bad. I rode actually right before I got sick. And,
Yeah.
funny enough, it might have been exactly why I got sick. Because I thought it would be,
That's
because it was
a
like
stretch.
raining, a couple weeks ago. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna go ride in the rain with my, shell on. And it was so fun. And there was a couple of the guys out there and we were just like, yeah, like we were loving it. It was awesome. I had such a great time. And I was actually riding the Banshee Prime. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to go shred this bike. And it was super fun. And I was fine. I felt like, okay, the next day, whatever, not great. But I was like, went for a night ride the next day. And the day after that, woke up with a sore throat. And that's like when the whole thing started. But speaking of the Prime.
It might have been a contributing factor, but
probably.
I don't think that's why you got sick.
I'm sure I was already like compromised. And then I was just like, yeah, here you go, immune system.
Yeah.
But that Prime was.
Prime,
dude.
Prime.
Super sick. Loved that bike. Really fun.
Banshee Prime.
Yeah. What is that? 125 travel?
135, 150.
135?
I think 135 rear, 154.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should have had that memorized.
You should know that, dude.
I should have had it memorized. I'm pretty sure. I thought it was 125.
One of the three of us should have had it memorized. We've all rode that bike and enjoyed it.
Bring it up faster, Jeff.
135 mil travel.
Okay. Well,
but what fork was on it?
The MRP
ribbon?
But how much travel on it?
I think 150.
150. So it was 150 in the front and then 135 in the back. I love that travel range of bike. Like 130 mil travel 29er is
it was
such
fun.
a good one quiver setup.
Pedaled super well.
Quiver killer.
Pedaled super well. The rear suspension on that bike, I mean, I'm sure it's the same way with the Titan, like just how well that rear suspension works.
It really works good.
Just like super efficient, great pedaling platform. But then like once you start kind of pushing it and like that suspension, oh my God, it just works super well. Yeah, once I got everything kind of dialed in, it just felt super good. Just a really well-rounded bike. It was super fun.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, I was just like, man, this thing rocks.
That riding that bike and then riding that Titan, it's just one of those things to me. I ride that and it really reminds me, it's like, wow, these bikes from these small boutique mountain bike brands are in every way, shape, and form as good and arguably better than the biggest of the biggest brands out there that are putting, all this money in marketing and hype and graphics and paint. And it's just like there's
for sure
small brands making bikes better than yours. Yeah. And that's cool because there's not many industries where there's contenders like that or where you can even contend like that the way that Banshee does within the bike industry, which is just rad. I love that.
Speaking of Banshee, the U.S. guys came out and visited us, Brian and Michael, last week, and got out for a ride with them. And it's just cool to hear some of the just like more detailed facts that I don't think Banshee does a great job about telling people. So we're here to tell them about it. Just like some of their hydroforming they do on their frames, and they use 7000 series aluminum hydroformed, which like no one else is doing that. Like no other bike brands are using 7000 series hydroformed alloy and welding that. And like their CNC like hydroformed areas for their shocks and their bottom brackets and where all that mounts. Like it's just
cradle.
So rad. It's so, well thought out.
It works super well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, just hearing those little things. And I also asked them because I was curious because all their bikes, right? I forgot the short travel bike name. Do you know? Spitfire?
No. I want to say Phantom or...
there's a Spitfire and a Phantom.
There's a 115 rear travel. The 115 rear travel 29er.
Is that the hardtail?
I think that's a hardtail.
Yeah.
The Prime and the Titan.
Yeah.
They look like they could share the same platform.
Right.
Right? And I asked them
the
like
Phantom is 115.
The Phantom. So Phantom, Prime, Titan look like they could share the same platform. And even the 27.5 bikes, like maybe they share the front triangle. And he said none of them at all share triangles or rear ends.
Really?
I think he said, or one or two of them might share a rear end, but he said they're all pretty much unique, and they share some hardware parts, like some bearing and bolts and pivot bolts. But for the most part, they're completely unique as well. So I was like, oh, that's cool because, you see a lot of brands that share triangles like that, and it's like, is that the best bike or is that to save costs?
Right.
Which obviously for a small brand you have to save costs. Like those are really expensive jumps to get into a complete bike, but
the big brands are doing that more.
Exactly, yeah.
Because that little bit of we'll save the mold and use it for these 3 models is more meaningful when you make 1,000 bikes a year rather than 100.
Well, yeah, or 1,000,000 bikes a year rather than 100. So I just thought that was really cool to hear kind of all these details and stuff about Banshee that go a little bit untold.
Yeah.
So
super cool bike.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that was it. You rode the Prime, and then you
I rode the Prime, and then I got sick. Yeah. Oh my God, it was horrible. And then I went for a ride on Saturday, just like into Sycamore on my Druid, and it was.
Did you feel relatively okay?
On the ride? Actually, I felt okay. Right? Yeah, like just
sometimes if I ride after being sick, it takes even if you're like, oh, I feel better now, and then you go for a ride, you're like, wow, I still just don't. Like I don't
for
feel
sure.
myself.
Did not have the endurance.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just was like so tired. I went for like an hour and I was just like so zonked the rest of the day. So like, this is not cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Recovery time.
It's just annoying. But yeah, I mean, on that note, it's super fun to just like get out on the Druid and like, I don't know. After you don't ride for a while, you just like pick up your bike and you're like, oh man, this thing is so sick. And then you go ride like one of your favorite trails. You're like, oh man, it's so fun. Like, gosh,
I like
bikes
this
are great.
sport.
Yeah.
This is so fun. More people should do this.
Bikes are good.
Bikes are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just fun, especially after being sick and like cooped up for like a week,
Yeah.
just like, wow. What about you guys, huh?
Willie's been putting in the miles.
I've been putting in some miles, most of the miles and rides on my Ranger, which has just been, workhorsing it about in the locals. But I rode my Rail 2.9 on Saturday with some friends, and we rode out on the east side of Conejo Valley, and it was really fun.
Nice.
The dirt was still pretty good, and it's just really fun to ride like the trail bike on trails that warrant a good trail bike.
For sure. The steeps and stuff.
Yeah, some of the steeps and stuff out that way. So
Nice.
yeah, it was fun. We got in I think we did like a 5K day on trail bikes.
Sick.
So yeah, got a bunch of good downhill laps, and I just really like that bike. That Rail 2.9 is such a good all-around bike.
5K day might not make sense to some people.
5,000 feet of elevation climbing and descending,
There you go.
all on a pedal bike.
I thought you rode 3.1 miles.
Yeah. 5,000 feet up, 5,000 feet down on
See,
trail bike.
one thing we do at the MTB podcast is we want to help, the general mountain biker understand random terms like, oh yeah, I did a 5K a day.
Yeah.
When guys like Liam just like shoot it off and don't realize, or when Joe's like, oh, I was just riding this 140 on Northern Suicide Trail. It's like, okay, what do you mean by 140? What trail is that?
Yeah.
I'm trying to just make sure
Yeah.
people learn little takeaways, and they're like, oh, I know what that means now.
Yeah.
Like, get them the Urban Dictionary of mountain biking, but the appropriate version.
I don't know why.
could be
This
a
is a little tangent, but similar. Like when people say, oh yeah, it's my 150 bike, but it's a 150 fork, but it's 130 rear. I always think that's wrong.
Yeah, that is.
It's not really like a right or a wrong, but in my head, I just think it's wrong because to me, that refers to your rear travel,
Right.
not your
pretty
front
much
travel.
always referring to the rear travel.
But some people be like, oh no, it's my 150 bike. And it's like, you have a 150 fork, but you only have 130 in the rear. So 130 is going to hurt down this trail. I thought you were bringing a 150 bike. That might feel good,
Right. I saw a bike on Pink Bike that was actually named after the front fork travel. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Why you do that?
What bike?
It was some super obscure,
Who
like,
would do
little,
that?
like, one of those brands that you pop up and you're like, oh, I never heard of that bike brand. And then,
I wonder why.
I'm offended.
But yeah, that Rail 2.9 I have is good.
Yeah.
it's a cool bike.
Riding
Love
that
to have
thing?
one of those one day.
Yeah, those Rail 2.9s do look sweet. I would like to build one of those at some point. There's just a lot of bikes I want to
I
build
was
right
going
now.
to say, you got like a
problem,
couple
man.
bikes on the front of your mind that you want me to build.
Yeah.
So
When are you going to build that Forbidden, huh? The Druid?
I don't know. I do really want to build one of those for
I think you should make it white.
a white one. I was also looking at Jared's
Pearl
bike
white.
the other day, and the paint is so nice.
It
I
is
was
so
like,
nice.
to have them just get a brand new Forbidden where the paint is so well done. Just have someone rip it right off, have Technar rip it right off and make it white. I mean,
Yeah.
makes sense, but also at the same time, the paint's so nice.
Especially that black one. It's like all sparkly and
Yeah.
that thing is so cool.
Yeah, it's hard to rip off paint that's that good.
Yeah.
I was
Plus,
Somebody's got to do it.
I was riding. Yeah, someone's gonna do it. I was riding your bike when you were out of town.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, when I filmed a little stupid Instagram story about the Black Friday sale, and I was just riding around the shop on your bike,
Nice.
filming myself.
Ride's great, huh?
Yeah, ride's great. That was my big ride lately. Just riding around the showroom of the shop, filming Instagram stories.
The segue to that.
Yeah, that was a segue.
You did a good ride last weekend.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I rode, put in a decent ride on the Ranger. Got out when the dirt was really good because we got just a random decent amount of rain and the dirt was awesome.
So good that day.
And it was
that
really
weekend,
good.
I should say.
Yeah, it was nearly perfect. I think there was a couple spots where it was actually a little too muddy, kind of caked the tires, but for the most part, it was flawless. 98% of the ride was perfect. Yeah, it was fun. I hadn't done like a longer local ride in a while and wanted to just get out and spend some time on the Ranger, which was fun. But what I've been wanting to ride is the Revel Rover
Oh, yeah.
gravel bike, freshly built in the back there in a custom one-off blue color from Revel.
Wow.
All black components. It looks so good.
It looks sick.
But centerlock rotor issue.
What's up with centerlock rotors, man, and lock rings?
Well, for starters, I don't like centerlock rotors just to begin with at all. Like if I had the choice, I'd never use them. Occasionally they come. I mean, I won't say they're bad, but I've just seen so many more of those come loose than 6-bolt rotors.
Right.
I don't know if I ever even witnessed. I've heard people they're like, "Oh, I've seen a 6-bolt rotor come loose," and yeah, I'm sure it's happened, but I've never seen it in my entire life ever, and I've seen at least 10 centerlock rotors come loose.
Yeah.
And it's just annoying when they do because you don't have the tool.
No.
For starters, there's 2 different tools. There's either a bottom bracket tool or a cassette tool, depending on which centerlock lock ring you have. Yeah. And then if a 6-bolt rotor comes loose, everybody's multi-tool has a T25 on it. Mm-hmm. So I'm just not a fan of centerlock.
I don't disagree with any of your points.
However,
I do love traveling with centerlock.
Well, when you have the tool, it's nice to take on and off, even though you have to take an extra tool with you traveling. But yeah, it is nice having just one tool. The convenience of installation is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Along the lines, building this bike is a bit of my lack of planning a little bit. I kind of like
puzzling.
Well, yeah, I kind of compuzzled this bike together with like a build kit from Revel and like some other stuff I ordered on the own, and like I wasn't really sure what the build kit came with, so like I got it and like, oh, I don't have brake bolts or I don't have rotors or, and then I got them and then I ordered the rotors and then the rotors don't come with lock rings because no one can make up their mind whether you sell a center lock.
Another problem with center lock rotors. Some
this is the biggest problem
with the lock rings and some aren't.
Some rotors come with lock rings and some don't, and then some Shimano rotors come with lock rings. For a 200 mil rotor, that doesn't work with mountain bike hubs because it uses the cassette internally splined lock ring tool versus the externally splined bottom bracket tool. And those don't work with 15 mil axles.
Two different lock ring types.
Where you typically would like to put a 200 mil rotor. So Shimano, I don't know what you're doing. And that being said, SRAM just often doesn't come with lock rings at all. So
because they don't know what you have.
Because they assume your hubs are going to come with them.
And the hubs assume the rotors are going to come with them. Or
maybe everyone assumes you're supposed to get them separately. I don't know. No one's communicating with each other.
Literally, I don't know. So I got down to, all right, I need brake bolts, got them, got the correct ones, need lock ring rotors, got them, ordered the Wolf Tooth ones. I think they are sick.
Mm-hmm. I have them too.
Yeah. So I ordered them up. Literally, Jeff's like, can you finish my bike? Finishing it right now. And I run back there. Yeah. Putting stuff on,
starting to look complete,
and he's watching me, and I'm like, brakes are bled, everything. I just need to adjust the brakes, and I tighten up the front, front axle, and I go spin the front wheel, and it doesn't move. I'm like, okay, what's rubbing? And I look down, and the lock ring, the way it's not really a fault of anyone. It's not a fault really of. It's just a combination of faults of where the flat mount bolts are, and the carbon has to bulge around the bolt. Is in the perfect bulge spot to run into the externally splined lock ring rotor. So you need the internally splined one for this bike. And I just bought the external ones just thinking.
Those are the ones we normally always use.
Those are the ones I use on mountain bikes.
Mostly build mountain bikes that have 15 mil.
So I have on my gravel bike.
Shouldn't be an issue, right? Well, it makes the ever so slightest contact. So I pulled that off and I had to order internally splined ones. And that was on Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And nothing
write it on Thanksgiving.
And nothing has been open until today, so they got ordered today.
In other words, if you've ever built a bike yourself or dealt with any type of these weird compatibility issues or strange things like this, don't feel bad about yourself. And this will never end. Even if you own a shop, if you work in a shop, if you're around a bunch of people who have a collective century of worth of time in the bike industry, you will still run into problems where you can't ride your bike because you got
X, Y, and Z doesn't.
Because X, Y, and Z is not compatible.
Isn't compatible. Yep. So hopefully, let's say Wednesday, that bike is riding. Perfect time for Jeff to leave on his next trip and not ride it for a week.
Yeah. I'll be gone for until next week.
Oh my God. What?
That's all right.
Yeah.
Kerfuffle conundrum.
It's a kerfuffle conundrum.
I know.
That is insane.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, well. Bike looks really good.
You know what? If I was 6-bolt, you just walk on down to the old Home Depot and I'm just kidding. Get yourself a little T25 and pop it in there.
Or just grab one of our...
Or grab one of the million back there.
The million back there, Trail 1 titanium rotor bolt plug.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Multiple colors available.
Perfect opportunity for a Trail 1 center lock ring.
I've thought about it.
I don't know, man.
It's on the list of a maybe.
What an ordeal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an ordeal.
And that's why you need a PhD in engineering to get the right lockring.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch. You just
Or a
need
PhD in bike component compatibility.
Yeah, that's true.
Actually, to get a PhD, you have to write some paper with some big
Like a
thesis or
thesis.
something, right? Like this could be the thesis.
So we
Centerlock,
could be
compatibility.
doctors.
Who should take the onus of, does the bike and the hubs come with the lock rings? Does the rotor come with the lock rings? Like, who provides the right lock rings?
Actually seems legit.
Seems legit.
I think we could make it happen.
I think the hubs should come with them.
See,
Because
but
if
then
it's
you
a
run into
hub
this
that has
issue.
12, well, not really though, because it's a hub with a 12 mil or,
Right.
then it should come with the internally
Or
splined
if it comes
ones.
with both. And then you pick whichever one works on your bike.
That's wasteful.
That's true.
The environmentalists will
The
come
problem
after
is I don't really know how to solve this, so
you. Yeah.
because it is kind of a conundrum no matter which way you go. But
Speaking of engineering, you went to Germany to visit the SRAM. I guess that would be considered the European headquarters there. Just outside of Frankfurt, or I guess quasi in Frankfurt.
outside of Frankfurt, technically in Schweinfurt.
Schweinfurt.
Yeah, I went there back in February of 2020, right before
Yeah,
the world shut down.
and you went to the same location, right?
Same location. Yeah,
You stayed at the B&B hotel right across the way
I don't even remember at this point.
Did you
so
walk
long
there?
ago. I think so.
From the
Yeah.
hotel?
Yeah.
I rolled in this hotel late, and I've seen B&B hotels because they sponsor a road bike team.
Oh.
But like a lot of these brands I see sponsor road bike teams, I don't know what they are until I get to Europe.
European brands.
Right? So
Yeah.
Anyways, I went to SRAM for a lot of stuff that I can't talk about yet. But a lot of
See cool new product.
cool new product.
But that facility is incredible. They
But
took
the
you on the tour, right?
facility,
Showed you all the
the
different
facility
knickknacks.
was so cool. So it originally was a Sachs manufacturing center, which made some of the earliest internally geared hubs, which SRAM purchased
Wow.
like 30 years ago or something like
Yeah, a
that.
long time ago.
So they've been making bike parts, I want to say since the late 1800s.
Wow.
They've made bike parts in this facility.
That's cool.
So it has a ton of bike history. They showed us all kinds of internally geared hubs over the years. And then they have a huge facility for testing drivetrain parts. So they have all these crazy machines that are just running chains and drive chains and shifting up and down for cycles and cycles and cycles, like 20,000 minutes or cycles or whatever you want to call it. So it's a lot of testing going on. You see that stuff and it's like, yeah, this is why not anyone can just make a drivetrain.
Yeah.
Because these guys are just having, 30 engineers involved on this with 30 testers
So
and
crazy.
people just, testing every scenario. And the weather is bad there. So like I was just starting tail end of fall, beginning in winter. And like, they're like, oh yeah, you think it sounds fun to be a tester where you literally ride 5 to 8 hours a day on a bike? Wait for the next 3 months. It is freezing, the roads are
they still
frozen,
do it.
and it's raining, and they still have to do it. It's actually almost more important to test in these months than it is during the summer when it's nice. So
Gnarly.
yeah, it was really cool. Hung out with Sven Nys, maybe the GOAT of cyclocross racing.
Because you guys went to the cyclocross.
He was there before. He was at the SRAM facility, and then on Sunday, SRAM took us a little VIP day to the Cyccross World Cup it was in Belgium. So I don't know where in Belgium. I probably couldn't pronounce it if I knew where. But yeah, that's cool. So we went over to Belgium, saw a Cyccross World Cup race, which is pretty wild. The fans there are really into it. A lot of people eating fries with mayo.
Yeah, that's the thing there.
Yeah, especially in Cyccross. One of the big teams that sponsor them is Powless, and that's their whole thing. They're like food trucks with fries and mayo. So they just like have these almost like a fair ice cream cone, but it's just fries with mayo just dumped all over it.
Whoa.
It ain't my style,
Did
but
you try it? Like, it can't be the same kind of mayo. It's not just
Kind
like
of
the
is.
generic.
I don't know. I had like a
Mayo,
little bit,
I think?
and I'm not really down. I'm not into mayo whatsoever, ever.
It's like their mayo is like our ranch in that regard,
Kinda,
For
yeah.
the condiment.
Maybe they haven't tried ranch yet and realize how much
But-
better it is
No,
than
I
mayo.
don't think they like ranch in Europe.
I did have a lot of beer there, and I don't do beer, so
Nice.
Wow, when you're
When
in
in
Germany,
Germany,
Germany and Belgium,
you
yeah.
gotta do it.
True.
So yeah, that was kind of the gist of my trip. It was fun, short, quick.
Nice.
Made it back here.
Speaking of short and quick, let's take a quick little break.
Ooh.
Wow.
You think that was good?
Yeah. And now, a word from our sponsors.
Hello, everyone. Jeff again. I just wanted to quickly remind you that we own a outdoor apparel brand called Kettle Mountain. We've made some mountain bike specific pieces, including our bib, which people absolutely love, some mountain bike shorts, the skid mark shorts, and we're also making a bunch of other stuff that just in general works great for lifestyle and really just adventure travel. If you want to check out some of the stuff, it's ketlmtn.com or just Google KETL. And since you are a loyal podcast listener and have listened to this far, grab 20% off your order with MTB Pod as the discount code. That is MTB POD, 20% off. By the way, we have a couple awesome winter jackets, a puffy jacket called the Sierra Loft and a rain shell called the Bodbrella, as in body umbrella, rain shell jacket. Good stuff for the winter. Thank you. That's all.
And now, back to the show.
Welcome.
Listener questions.
I want to put together a travel toolkit for my car or for going on bike trips. I have a comprehensive set of tools at home, but it is too much to travel with. What are your essentials that you travel with? P.S. Why is Liam still in his pet rock phase? Ouch.
It's not a phase, Mom. It's a lifestyle.
It's a pet rock lifestyle? Okay.
Yeah. It's not a phase, Mom. It's a lifestyle.
Well, this is a great question.
Well, depends how comprehensive you want. Basically, I make a kit that if you want to change a rear wheel or if you don't want to, like, I think that's the kind of the differentiator of like how comprehensive the kit
What do you mean by
should be.
changing?
Like swapping
rear wheel?
cassettes and
Cassette,
stuff. And,
mainly cassette stuff to take cassette off, on and off. So, because you need a cassette tool and a chain whip of some sort, whatever combination that might be. For me, swapping rear wheels when you travel is like kind of a necessity. The way, you know, people break rear wheels when the group that I ride with. So I'm always looking, you know, to travel with that, and that's what my kit has. Otherwise, I think a good set of really good Allens, and then also like Wera makes these little like ratchet sets. Like sometimes I'll just send Jeff when he travels with his bike with just like you know, pretty comprehensive ratchet set. But the nice thing of having Allens in addition to that ratchet set is a lot of pivot hardware is two-sided.
Right.
So you need that. Tire levers, usually stuff to put on and off rotors, some stuff to kind of align brake rotors. Tire levers help with that too, to push pistons back and forth. It's kind of it. Like when we went to Italy, I didn't bring my full tool set. I just ripped apart some of my stuff. Like I didn't bring stuff to bring a rear wheel change because I was trying to be really minimal on what we were bringing. So I think I just grabbed like Allens, tire levers, lube,
Your tire pressure gauge.
shock pump. And I think that's kind of it.
Basically anything like, you know, quick and dirty to repair. You know,
Yeah.
Like,
You know, I think I did throw my hag tool in there. So to hanger alignment gauge. So I think I threw that in there just because that's easy to whack and get out of line. But yeah, that's about it.
You could just look at a good multi-tool, like a Crank Brothers 17-bit multi-tool, and then just take the larger version of those 17 tools.
wow.
Because it's a lot more convenient to use those than the multi-tool.
What a great way of putting it.
Or just bring them both. Take the
Chain
multi-tool
breaker.
because you're going to ride with the multi-tool,
Yeah.
and then just take the 17 of those things in the larger size.
Yeah.
Wow.
Also, I brought that little Crank Brothers click floor pump,
That
I believe,
was cool. Yeah.
to Italy.
Oh, yeah,
Which
that was
is-
a cool little gadget.
It's like a little bit bigger than your frame pump, but you can pull it out and like get a pretty good pump up with it. So
It's got a little foot thing
it's
too,
got a little
right?
foot thing, so you can like really get after it on the ground.
That's right.
Yeah,
Get after it on the ground.
get after it on the ground.
That's what
Yep.
I'm talking about. Sounds like that's a pretty solid setup. How about the next question? Hi, were you going to say something?
No, go
Okay,
ahead.
cool. Yeah, well, go ahead. Hi, I was wondering why not to have a mullet setup on my bike, thinking about upgrading. If I am tubeless and running an enduro bike, what are the fallbacks? Is climbing harder on a mullet? Well, I wouldn't really say climbing is, well, I guess a little bit.
A little bit of
little bit
rolling.
less
you'll,
efficient.
You'll lack a little bit of rolling speed, but I
Yeah.
think mostly it's going to be what it does to your bike. Is your bike set up for a mullet like flip chip? Like, can you flip chip and reserve your geo and your pedaling characteristics and your pedaling position when going to mullet? If so, drawbacks are pretty minimal. Like, besides the touch of rolling speed and rollover, ability of the smaller rear wheel, if you're really truly like enduro downhill focused, like mullet might help you.
Yeah.
I'd enjoy it. It's fun.
Probably enjoy it. It's fun. Helps you
Cornering
corner.
is awesome,
Yeah.
Don't really care how fast you're climbing,
But
enjoy it a little more on the downs.
if your bike isn't set up for it, it might drastically change your geo and your
You
pedaling
cannot
position.
just slap a 27.5-inch rear wheel on a bike that's made for 29-inch.
So I'd say that's basically the drawback, right? Is your bike set up for it and will it retain stock characteristics, or are you going to throw everything out of whack just to have a smaller rear wheel that, might make cornering a touch better, but like everything else worse?
Yeah,
so
for sure. Good points. Speaking of mismatched things.
Oh, boy.
I ride mismatched brand wheels, mismatched material, and different brand tires. How do you like them apples? Oh,
those are oranges, man, because they're sour.
That's tough.
Lemons.
Thank you for the amazing content. Bring on more coffee talk. Dark roast or light roast, black or cream, latte or espresso.
And also, I'm joking. You can ride whatever mismatched stuff you feel.
Yeah, I realized some episodes back, I thought we were being gentle, but clearly some people were a bit offended when we said we don't prefer, or we must have made some kind of like, or some snobby groan when we were talking about having mismatched brand tires. Whatever we did, people did not like it. I think a lot of people
are just giving us a hard time.
Yeah, I know, but I think people felt personally attacked.
Yeah,
because
personally
they had
called out.
mismatched tires, and they're like, "Oh, these guys said it was stupid to do that." Like, I don't.
Am I not cool on the trail?
Yeah, maybe not by choice.
It's
okay.
not something we would do or we would prefer, but it's obvious in the grand scheme of life on planet Earth, it really doesn't matter. So don't.
It doesn't matter.
Don't philosophically.
Yeah.
No, it does not matter. Don't worry
lose.
about it. If you wanna just end up a bike snob or look cooler in front of a bike snob, then yeah, you're gonna need.
So his question
matching
wasn't
brand
about
tires.
mismatched anything. His question was actually about coffee, though.
Yeah, it was about coffee.
I'm going to go dark roast espresso.
You know what I just bought on Black Friday?
Espresso machine?
An AeroPress.
Ooh, nice.
yeah.
Have you seen the espresso forge, though?
No.
Oh,
Don't even tell me about it. I don't want to have buyer's remorse.
well, the AeroPress is like way more affordable. The
Yeah, I
espresso
was gonna
forge
say.
is made by Sean Neer, who used to be a
oh, yeah.
Yeti
Yeah, yeah.
rider. And it is like all CNC'd, super nice, full. It's like this tall with like a, I don't know, 1.5 inch cylinder. I don't have one. I just really want one. But they look sick. And
Same kind of thing. You just compress it down.
yeah, so it's like, this maybe, I don't know.
Espresso forge, you
Yeah,
call
it's
it?
1.5 feet tall. And you could just press down and it makes a single espresso. And it's all CNC'd, made in the US, super sick looking.
Sounds cool.
AeroPress is
Whoa.
awesome for like lightweight camping, traveling. Like
Yeah.
it's plastic, right?
I also
Mostly.
was just poking around on Google, and without doubt, no matter what rabbit hole you go down, people are just saying, the best coffee I've ever had came from an AeroPress.
Yeah.
Like, people just love and prefer the flavor no matter what, hands down. I'm like,
Yeah.
I just got to get one of these
Yeah,
because it seems like a good way to make nice coffee.
I should actually get one of those for the van. I want an
They're really
espresso
cheap.
forge. Yeah, no.
This thing is super cool.
Well, how much is AeroPress? $30, $50?
I got the XL one, which was, I think, $75 or
$75.
something.
Yeah, I think the
that's
espresso
like,
forge
so
are
it
like
makes 2 cups of
$300 or
coffee.
$400.
Yeah.
But I would probably go with like a medium roast espresso, my preferred. Actually, or I'm just addicted to Starbucks cold brew.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'm gonna sell out for Starbucks.
Do you like the
cold
plain
brew.
cold brew?
Straight up cold brew.
I like the sweet cream
Starbucks.
one. I'm a sucker for like a creamy
Yeah.
iced coffee or cold brew, but like black hot coffee. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes cold, like a nitro cold brew.
I don't really like the nitro either.
You're not a nitro guy?
See, I always...
It's not cold enough.
I kind of like...
It's kind of room temp.
I like a lot of things, but I just change it up based on where I am. So if I'm
Yeah.
at a cafe where I know someone knows how to pull a proper shot of espresso, I'll absolutely get a cortado or just a shot of espresso. But if I'm at somewhere where I can tell, like, no one really knows what they're doing here, I'll just be like, just give me a latte or just give me a cold brew or something simple. Or just give me a black coffee and I'll put a little half and half in.
Yeah,
or
Jeff
something.
thought he invented a mocha about 10 years ago. He was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna put a little chocolate powder in."
I think that was more like 20 years ago.
Okay.
I was at a Supercross race at Angel Stadium in Anaheim. I think I called it Anaheim Stadium. And Cody, he's like, "It's Angel Stadium." And I looked over at him. He had an Anaheim Angels hat on. I was like, "Oh, sorry, I'm not a baseball guy. My bad." But I've never been there for a baseball game, but I've been there a dozen times for a Supercross race. I think I must have been 15 years old. And I had this idea. I was like thinking, like when I was in line, the little concession stand and the little janky cafe in the stadium. And I was like, I'm going to ask if they can mix a hot chocolate and a coffee. And I thought it was such a good idea. And so I go up there and I was like, look, this might be a total pain, but is there any possible way you could mix a coffee and a hot chocolate for me into one cup? And the lady just looks at me and goes, "That's what a mocha is." And I go, "Oh, I didn't know that. Can I get that?" And she just like doesn't say anything and just like rings me up, turns around and gives me the mocha. I was like, I had no idea.
I used to do that. Kid. I used to do that all the time though. When I think
she maybe thought I was just being mean. So like I was trying to have like satire, derogatory humor. I was like, no, I like honestly thought that I was inventing something. I thought it was going to be great.
Nowadays, she thought she'd be on TikTok or something.
Yeah.
I used to do that for early morning rides when I was like 18 and I was trying to get to the group ride. I wasn't really a full coffee like drinker yet, but like I was like still like 7 a.m. and I was like 18.
Okay.
And I'd literally do the Keurig. I'd do one hot coffee or one hot chocolate and one hot coffee in a cup.
Good.
And then ride to the group ride with a cup of coffee in my hand, like with a mocha in my hand. Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah.
You know what it's all about right now is the peppermint hot chocolates.
I haven't had one.
The PSL season is over.
PSL's over.
Season's in, dude.
Peppermint's in.
I already had one.
Of course you did.
I had lunch with Taylor, and she's like, I think I'm going to go get a peppermint hot chocolate at Starbucks. I was like, I'm coming. I'll have one.
Peppermint mocha.
Yeah, I could get a peppermint mocha. It's too late in the day for that, but yeah, now we're talking. Nice.
Well, speaking of mochas.
Yeah, let's get back on the bike train.
You did ask us to talk about coffee.
They did, yeah. We did. All right. I'm looking at the Ibis Ritmo, or Ritmo AF, as my next bike. I will be doing a frame-up build using parts off my old bike. Will I really notice the benefits of carbon for the added cost, or would spending the extra cash on a carbon set of wheels or another upgrade be more bang for the buck? Well, we've kind of gone back and forth with this a few times in the past, and I think I speak for you guys as well. When you go to the aluminum frame and you go with a little bit nicer suspension components and drivetrain brakes. Yeah. But it sounds like this guy's already got parts. I don't know.
But maybe he'll upgrade him if he saves some money by going with the alloy frame.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think and when you start talking about like a Ritmo, right? Ritmo's a 140, 150 rear travel bike?
Yeah.
Around there?
Yeah.
I don't know the exact specs on the Ritmo or Ritmo AF, and if like Geo differs at all between the two. Mm-hmm. But when you start kind of getting in that range, I think the carbon frames are so overbuilt and the alloy frames are just alloy that they're not too much different in weight. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I almost lean towards the feeling of an alloy bike as a trail bike or enduro bike. And yeah, I just love nice components. Like I think suspension, brakes, wheels, and tires make a bigger difference than carbon or alloy frames to me.
For sure.
In my preference.
Agreed.
Yeah. That's kind of how I felt after riding the Banshee the other day. I was like, you could have blindfolded me and tell me this is whatever material. Like, honestly, it just felt amazing.
Yeah,
like,
good aluminum bike feels nearly identical.
Who cares?
Just great. Yeah,
totally. So good.
I totally say who cares on that too.
Yeah.
I used to be on the carbon train because they, back in the day, were way lighter.
Yeah.
Now they're not. Like they've kind of made aluminum lighter as it's gotten more refined, and then they've just made carbon thicker and heavier and more layers because they're worried about warranty issues. So it's not.
And there's certain bikes where you want it to be lighter, like a 130 or under travel bike. Mm-hmm. But once you start getting above that, like, I don't know, riding bikes that weigh 32, 35 pounds feel a little bit better and more planted in downhill scenarios. So, that frame weight is static, right? Like you strap on your multi-tool, your spares, your tube, your big water bottle. You're adding 3-4 pounds right then and there. So like, did that pound you really saved on the carbon really make up for it? Like, I don't know. Yeah. But that really light wheel set you'll feel
Yeah.
And you'll notice.
Super nice wheel set. Save the money and go for a sick wheel set.
Yeah, and good suspension.
Yeah.
That's what
I mean,
said.
just all around good components make a huge difference on a bike. So I would totally favor having an alloy frame with way better parts. I would also say in that realm, I like balance in that sense. Like what I've been bothered by over the years recently is if you have kind of a frame that has maybe a slight bit more flex than other frames, and then you have a crazy stiff wheel set. Or if you have a really stiff frame and then a kind of a flexy-ish wheel set. Like, I don't know, those kind of things have bugged me lately. So I kind of like to think, all right, I want to make sure I kind of balance this out, like based on the frame. I don't want to go for one of those. I'm really not interested in those super harsh, rigid carbon wheels. Kind of want something where the frame and the wheels are kind of balanced together. Neither one of them is too stiff or too flexy compared to the other.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's getting a little on the nerdy side there, but
I mean, good points.
little nuances that I notice these days.
So that's what makes a bike ride good, right? Like you hop on a bike and it's like, oh, this bike feels really good. And it's like, why? It's like, I'm not really sure why, but the package is well packaged.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It is greater than the sum of its parts.
It's funny enough, that's something that talking to Adam Miller, the founder of Revel Bikes, he's just kind of put in my head a lot because he was talking a lot about, in the early days when we just started selling Revel and I met him, and he was talking a lot about how they were working on balancing the bikes as the whole packages and the frames and, getting the flex just right in the right spots, but in the stiffness right in other spots. And I was like, wow, he's really thought this stuff through. And then I started becoming more aware of that and then noticing it more on the different bikes I rode. And it is an important thing to pay attention to as you go further down the rabbit hole of like getting the bike just the right way you want it.
For sure. Totally. Well, next question, shall we? What is the most useless skill you possess?
Well, Jared, since you said you knew yours, what is yours?
Yeah, I'll go first. So, like if you're drinking like soda or beer out of a can and you get down to like that point where it's maybe like a quarter or a third of the way full and then like you can balance it on the edge like that. That's probably the most useless skill that I have.
Is that a skill though, or is that just like you understood physics once?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so hard. Like, what a skill is or isn't. I think all skills are valuable.
It's technically a skill. I mean, call it a party trick, whatever you want, but balance a
Well,
can.
in that case, I can open a beer bottle, or I do a lot more Coke, bottle Cokes these days.
Yeah.
With my ring.
But that's useful.
Not,
Yeah, it's not useless.
is it
That's
useful
the
or
problem.
useless?
That's too useful.
It's too useful.
Something more useless than that.
Well,
Like,
Tubular tires.
yeah,
That's
mine,
legit.
mine that has
about
now
that the other
become
day.
useless is I'm pretty good at gluing tubular tires.
Which most mountain bikers wouldn't even
They don't even know.
what the heck those are.
why am I gluing my tires on?
Yeah, so like when I first started wrenching, I wrenched for this small race shop, and we had a master's crit team. So like every couple of weeks, I was gluing tubular tires and wrapping handlebars and like replacing derailleur cables. So
I don't even want to get just a quick overview of what a tubular tire is and why it has
tubular
glue involved.
tire is an entire, basically road tire. They're a little bit on a mountain bike. Nino used to race them up until maybe 6 years ago.
Really?
Dugast tubular tires.
Whoa.
So it's a tire that is a complete like circle, sealed circle, rubber all around, and then the bottom is cotton, and they also call them sew-ons because they sew the cotton to the rubber tire. So they also call them sew-ons. Then you glue that to a rim, which doesn't have a channel for your beads to sit in. It's just basically like a triangle, flat on top, little curved surface, and you glue that on there. So your tire is literally glued to the rim. What it does is there's no sidewalls and rims and beads, so it's really comfortable. So you can run pretty low pressures. It had much better traction than bikes with tubes in them and regular like clincher style setups. And they were able to make lighter rims. But such has technology surpassed that. Probably passed that a long time ago, but no one wants to give stuff up right away. They are now obsolete and barely ever used. So
Yeah.
a little bit in the Pro Tour still, but they're mostly on tubeless setups now. It's still used on the track and velodrome, but
Wow.
I heard that might get pulled out of the Olympics. And if that's pulled out of the Olympics, then that's
Whoa.
disappearing.
What?
Yeah, because it's become such an equipment race that
Oh.
only a couple countries that pour a ton of budget into it can actually compete because they're so aerodynamic focused now.
And you need that
X country that doesn't have this massive government funding track racing,
That makes sense. Yeah, if you can't afford.
So that's my useless skill. What's yours, Jeff?
I don't know.
Anything more useless than that?
The back of Disneyland map, like the back of your head.
Maybe knowing how to transfer a lot of data from an Android phone to an iPhone and vice versa. Not that many people need that skill.
I'd still call that
pretty useful.
That's pretty useful.
We need more useless than that. Like you said, you're doing like Tai Chi or something. Or
Qigong. Qigong. Yeah, at some point I was at a conference and one of the guys there, he's actually a really interesting entrepreneur. He sort of brought Qigong, which is similar to Tai Chi. He brought that whole exercise to the United States and made a whole business of selling curriculum and a subscription course and making classes. And
wow,
it's cool. It's sort of a combination between yoga and Tai Chi, I guess you could say. It's a little bit more active and movement, and it's about stretching. That's a random. I guess that's a useful skill though. When I was doing that more, I was.
But you're not using it anymore.
I was more
limber.
flexible. I was more limber. I should start doing it more. It's pretty fun.
Then it would be useful.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, true.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Difference between useful and useless is objective.
That's true.
Subjective. Not objective. Objective is scientifically proven with data and facts, and you can't. Subjective is more opinionated.
Let's move on, Jared. Next question.
Is that an
Just
objective?
making sure you had that correct.
An objective or a
You
subjective?
can't mix those ones up.
Oh my gosh. All right, next question. Dear Worldwide Celery, I know people are going to think this is an ad, but it's not. I live in Jeff's least favorite state, the state of Ohio, and as it's cooling down, I'm looking for some good active pants for trail riding. Can you walk me through some of the differences between your pant offerings? Specifically, I require a generous cut, blah, blah, blah. I'm wondering if you could speak to how these pants may fit and if there are differences between them in their overall fitment. P.S. Does Jeff Weight Weenie worry about how heavy his clothes are or only his bike parts? It goes way farther than that.
Oh yeah, they just see my wallet.
Like your
Yeah, your wallet.
your travel kit is lightweight.
Yeah,
He has started adding way more weight to his travel kit, though.
some things.
He brought a speaker somewhere.
Dude, I thought I would never in a million years do that, and then I got that little Sonos speaker, and I was like, "This is really nice to travel with." I'm just gonna carry it. Well,
You
part of me
whipped out a
is
speaker somewhere, and I was like,
what was that?
I think you were in Canada. And I was like,
part of me
you
is
throw that in your bike bag?
I was
He's like,
shocked when I saw that.
Well, part of me is like, I'm just gonna be super lightweight and minimalist, and the other part of me is like, well, you know what? I'm going to carry a big, heavy backpack because it's good exercise, and I want to get more exercise, and people carry heavy things. I want to carry heavy things. I'm just going to put all the stuff in my backpack. So I have these two arguments in my head. I'm like, I'll just take, I got room for the speaker. I'll take the speaker too. So I don't know. It depends on the trip.
Oh, that's great.
As far as the kettle pants, this is a hard challenge because when we were getting into the apparel business, and this is like any product-based business, you always make these different products, and as the product developer and designer, you get so intimately familiar with the products and the differences, and you understand all of it because you see it and you designed it, and you don't realize that once you bring this stuff to market, people just see 3 pairs of pants or 3 pedals or 3 grips and are like, oh, what was the difference here? And then you start explaining it, and then you realize, like, wait, my explanations aren't making sense because I'm just so far removed from
You're in the weeds.
the newcomer to these products. So I don't know. It is a challenge. We recently updated the Kettle website to where if you go to the pants collection, it has the 3 pairs of pants right at the top, and then it gives you a little snippet sentence and then 3 bullet points of what it is for and what it's like for all 3 different pairs. We did that with the tops too and the shorts. So I don't know. We're trying to do these things. Same thing with the Trail One site. We try to do it with the stems, right? Like here are the clear differences of the stems,
and the grips.
which when it comes to bike parts, it's almost easier in some sense because the price points, people kind of understand what it is based on the price point. When it comes to certain things like apparel, you have 3 pairs of pants that are all similar in weight. So anyways, to actually answer this guy's question, the fit is not all that different on these 3 pairs of pants. So we've gone with a somewhat tapered fit for all the pants off the bat, and then we're going to offer a relaxed fit version as sort of an additional thing, which is coming next spring. Yeah, because like we wanted to make the small brand, you can only make so many fitments off the bat, and then you got to add more inseams and colors and different styles of fit and things like that later. But they're all a bit tapered. And yeah, I'll just refer you to go look at our newly designed thing that tells you the differences between them. The Shenanigan pant, as wrote on here, durable, lightweight outdoor pant. The Tomfoolery chino pant, versatile travel pant. And the Vent lightweight pant is a featherweight, joggerish active pant. That's what I'm wearing right now. It's also the lightest weight one.
Joggerish.
So,
But
joggerish.
I love that word.
He said for riding, and if I just had to pick one for riding, I'd probably shoot Shenanigan. Because it's made out of the same material as our skid mark pants, correct?
Yeah, the skid mark
mountain bike shorts.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that's the
skid
same
mark mountain
fabric.
bike short.
Yeah, they're all 3 different fabric and different designs.
And I rode in the Shenanigan pant both days last weekend.
Did ya?
I did a shuttle day and a pedal day.
Did you?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was
Nice.
good.
They're good.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Nice.
none of the pants for Kettle are mountain bike specific.
Yeah.
Like we'll get there at some point, but we did make mountain bike specific shorts and a jersey and stuff. But for the pants, we're worried about other categories that we want to target first. So we'll get to a mountain bike specific thing. But if you want to just go straight up, right now with the pants, yeah, Shenanigan pants, as you said, Liam,
Yeah.
we're pretty good. That's a super durable fabric. If I was going to tell someone to mountain bike in any of them, I would say the same thing.
And it has the most secure waist.
Closure.
Yeah, waist
Closure.
cinch closure
Yeah.
system that wraps all the way around as
Yep.
well, which is super nice for outdoor activities and riding a bike.
Yep.
Love it. I love my skid mark shorts. Probably,
Yeah, those things have really taken off.
probably my favorite pair
nice.
of mountain bike shorts I've gotten.
Also, I don't know what I said about Ohio, but it's not my least favorite state.
What is?
I don't know.
We're
I
not gonna put
don't
on
want to
blast.
send
I'm just
anything
kidding,
because
we're not
someone's
gonna-
going to be offended.
Yeah.
All right. Time for one more question, I think.
Quickly.
All right. Carbon,
Rip it.
aluminum, they get all the attention. Do you ever consider steel when thinking of a new bike? P.S. Viva Bean the cat. I love that. Yeah, actually, that Reeb that we had in the shop was
Or
pretty
your-
cool. And the production privy,
your production
which
privy.
is part steel, part carbon.
Yep.
That bike rips. I love that
Yeah.
production privy too.
Which we have some in stock.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do we really?
Yeah, that is cool. Those things are rad. So if you want an extremely rare off-the-wall bike that you can be rest assured no one else is going to have at any given trailhead any day in North America,
Yeah.
Production Privy is rad. It's making amazing bikes. We got to actually meet the designer and developer of those bikes.
Yeah.
And we were out in Andorra, and they're killer. That is a unique, interesting setup doing carbon rear end, steel front end.
Totally.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a steel curious.
Steel curious. I'm also steel curious.
I'm also still curious.
That Reeb came in. We built up a
dude,
Reeb.
so
looked
cool.
really. That bike looked.
What model
awesome.
was that?
That was the SST.
SST is like a 120, 130 rear travel bike with like a 130, 144.
Yeah.
And I hopped on it and I rode it through the parking lot. I was like, whoa, feels like a big BMX bike. Like
Right?
I would love
Yeah.
to
It feels solid.
have some fun on this and just see what it felt like. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'd for
we
sure
have
one of those.
considered steel.
We're all still
and
curious.
We're still curious. And I know Nico tried steel out for his
Yeah.
downhill bike, and he
got
said
one.
there's some really cool characteristics with that. That I think he went to put into his alloy bike by trying that steel front end. So
Yeah.
still curious here.
Yeah.
Worldwide is
It's
steel
pretty cool.
curious.
There's something cool about just like the durability and like the forever aspect to some of these metals, that like you don't really get that kind of like character from carbon a lot of the time, you know?
Yeah.
Like from those, like the metal, you just kind of get that like, I don't know, almost handmade, even though it probably wasn't handmade. I'm pretty sure those are made by Roadbots, right? The production privy steel ones.
Partly.
Partly.
Yeah, the production
robot,
privies are
partly-
actually made by a like a 5 or maybe more than 5 axis
welding jig.
welding robot and
Wow.
then finished by hand. But
That's cool.
it's really cool the way they can do that.
Yeah,
I don't know how the
totally.
Reebs are made at all.
Super cool. But yeah, you know what I mean? You just get that feel like that it's been, manufactured with care and like more personal feel.
Yeah. So in other words, yes, we are considering
Yeah,
steel.
absolutely.
We're also considering ending the show.
Oh.
Thank you very much for listening. Genuinely appreciate it. Yeah, seriously, thank you.
Thank you.
And we're going to have some more guests coming in next year. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have our MTB trending products of the entire year coming out in early January. We've got a lot of stuff on the docket, so stay tuned, albeit it's the off season. Mountain Bike Media is pumping.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you. please leave us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify podcast. We really appreciate it. And if you screenshot the review and send it over to podcast@worldwidecyclery.com, Jared will give you a present.
Yes, I will.
Actually. And send us any questions to podcast@worldwidecyclery.com. We appreciate that. Thank you and goodbye. Thank you and good night.
Good night and good luck.
Love you.
Good night and good luck. Was that the Anchorman one? Good night and good luck.
Oh, I don't know. That's from actually.
And that's the way the cookie.
That's the way the cookie crumbles.
That's the way